getting things ready?
Preparing.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Oh, look at them all. Oh, it's so beautiful. I suppose I will leave some for Levi. We've got a lot of work to do in the greenhouse today. Do you guys realize that tonight we have a frost? I have not had to run irrigation in the greenhouse almost all winter. We've had consistent enough rains and enough rain to where it seeped into the greenhouse and just watered the plants from underneath. Today we've got a project where we're going to be driving some stakes, some T-posts into the ground, and having the ground be a little bit softer than it is right now is going to be helpful. Oof, these guys didn't like being transplanted at all. So we have a frost tonight, a frost advisory. It is probably going to frost. I think the low is 36 for the general area, but we have a very low-lying property, so we're gonna get lower than that very likely. Most of our frost tender things like the tomatoes and peppers are still in the greenhouse right now, and they're actually going to be staying in here. This is going to be a nightshade tunnel this year again. But I do have some things in the raised bed garden that we're gonna have to cover later. And I honestly didn't expect this. We've been having record highs for this time of year. It's been 85 during the day and about 60-ish, 62 at night. But we just got a storm that came in and it blew in some cold weather. So we're about to have our actual last frost. I really hope so, at least. The latest that we've seen a frost here, we've only been here since 2019. But I can recall it was 2020 and the frost was May 5th. That was insane. Did you find something? I thought you might find those. They're good.
That's very good.
I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to tell what the rooster's doing. He's eating some, but mostly he's picking off little bits and feeding his girls. Isn't that sweet? So the intention with those cabbage plants was not to feed them to the chickens. I'm really glad that I get to at this point. I need to take those plants out of the greenhouse before they really got a chance to produce. For some reason, they didn't really get going throughout basically the entire winter until about right now. And so we have two little cabbage heads that we're gonna get to eat. But I'm just gonna feed those like lower parts of the plants, and the plants that didn't end up putting in a head, those are chicken feed. I did get these for us, and we'll use these. The big project that we have going on here in the greenhouse really is to help optimize our winter growing so we can get way more than this out of it in years to come. You know, are you girls ready to be milked? This is not yours. Nope. That's mine. I really hope that you guys are starting to see the vision for what's going on here in the greenhouse. So we've been growing in this greenhouse. This will be the 3rd summer. And we don't really have a greenhouse so we can grow in it in the summer. We have it so we can extend our seasons and grow throughout the winter, because we have a pretty mild winter here most days, and we are very blessed to be able to do that. The one thing about this greenhouse that is making it hard to plant in over winter is that the groundwater does seep in here, but in winter there's no grass around the greenhouse to kind of help take up some of that moisture, and the whole thing is basically just a mud pit. So our plants that are planted in that mud pit, they don't do very well. Moisture obviously is good for plants, but way too much of it is not good for them. So the raised beds are going to help elevate those plants out of the moisture. They very well could still wick some of that moisture up into the bed, but it's not like they're going to be sitting. The plant's roots are going to be sitting in the moisture. So this project is a pretty big undertaking, and in looking at all the different companies that make these corrugated beds, we did end up landing with Birdie's Beds. You see these corrugated style beds a lot, and I honestly did not realize that so many different companies made them. This is the original. This is the bed that started it all. This company is out of Australia, and these are Australian made beds. I really love that. We get them through Epic Gardening. If you're familiar with the Epic Gardening YouTube channel, Kevin, he owns that company, and so we're supporting an American company with that, and they're in turn supporting an Australian company with purchasing their beds. So that part I really like, but there's things about the beds that I do prefer over some of the other beds that I have with this same style, and I want to kind of showcase that for you. Really the biggest thing that I think is one of the more important aspects is the bracing system. We'll look at that in just a second, but got another one here. These are all going to be the same color. I've decided to make the entire greenhouse this slate gray color. The hope is that it would help the greenhouse and the beds retain a little bit of heat in the winter time. We got stainless steel hardware. It's going to hold up to many years of use. I think these are good for about 20 years, which is great. This plastic has like a UV treatment, so it won't break down in the sunlight, which is really important for something that's going to be out in the sun so much. And then here are the flat panels. So there's a bunch of different ways that we could have set these beds up. You can see on the side of the box here. See all the different ways you can set it up. This one actually, you could do 5x4, 4x4, 6x2, 4x3, 6x3, and this is the one we're doing, the 7x2. This is what the 7x2 looks like all put together. This one only needs one bracing in the middle, and this one down here is the large version. This is 10 feet by 2 feet, and it requires 2 of the bracing. This here, this bracing system is one of the main reasons that I wanted to go with Birdie's Beds for the greenhouse conversion. And you can see that we've got 4 bolts here that are connected to this plate, this stainless steel plate. In some of the other beds that I have of this style, it's just 1 bolt with 1 rod going across, and that is a lot less secure than something like this. It's gonna hold the entire height of the bed really sturdy, and I like that. We need these to last for the long haul. So you can see we can push down on this bed and it's not going anywhere. That is very secure. One of the things that I like about these beds too is this protective plastic that's on the outside edge. It's only on one side. I understand why it's needed. It's there to help that paint, which the paint is USDA certified. It's not going to leach anything crazy into your food, which is very important. But because the plastic is only on one side, it's less waste, but it's also less to deal with when you're trying to put it together. So it helps the process take less time. When you're putting together a lot of these, little things like that matter a lot. When we're first putting the panels together, we're just hand tightening it. Sometimes if you tighten real hard on like the top one, it might be hard to line up some of the other ones. So I'm gonna get the whole bed put together, and then we'll go through and tighten up all the bolts. When putting beds like these together, it's important to remember the stress of the soil that's going to be pushing out from the inside. So with these outer corners, we're going to be careful to place the overlap from the corner outside. This is gonna allow this whole panel to help support the weight of the soil. If we were to put this straight panel on the outside, the only thing supporting the weight of the soil would be the screws, and they are good and strong. It just doesn't give the bed the benefit of the doubt to last for a long time. So remember, the outside edges overlap the straight panels like this. Okay, so the bed is just loosely put together just by the power of my fingertips. And they do provide a little wrench for you to tighten down all the bolts with. But my husband does home remodel for a living, and he's got a lot of tools like this. And this is one of those things that helps things move a little bit faster and easier, so I'm gonna use it. All right, you've got the edge protector all in place, and now we just need to put it in the row. Because I have amended these rows in the past and had walking paths in between, the rows themselves in the greenhouse have a little bit of a hump to them. So we're having to kind of smush down the work that we did hilling up these rows in order to get the beds to not like teeter-totter. There is 6 feet of space in between the T-posts in the center aisle here. And we have been measuring from the outside of the greenhouse to the side of the bed just to make sure everything is lining up. So before we fill them with soil, we'll do that again. Because once these are down, they're gonna be here for a long time. As far as the frost goes for later, I only have a couple things planted here in the raised bed garden that could get damaged or probably would get damaged from a frost. This is going to be a very light frost, but still. I have these Kalima bush beans that really did a good job of germinating, and they're really quick to plant again if they do get damaged, but I have the stuff to cover them, so why not? I'm just going to use this meat tote here to cover as many as I can. Let's see, I've missed a couple there. That'll be okay. This is called a cement tray. Put that over those. Some of these little things I'm going to put inside my shed. There's lavender and rosemary here. These could probably tolerate a light frost, but I'll throw them in the shed anyway. When it comes to covering something from the frost, one of the more important things to consider that I think a lot of people don't think about is you don't really want your frost fabric or your sheet or whatever you're using to lay right on the leaves of your plant. When the frost settles on that sheet, it's going to freeze the leaf right through that sheet. You want to have like a pocket of air to help insulate the plant. So this is my green stock full of Tiny Tim tomatoes, and we need to cover it. So let me go get a box. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So we have this rather large, rather dirty, very thick tarp, and wrapping this around should help. Oh, this tarp is actually bigger than I thought it was, but So under here where I have these bean plants right next to this tote, they're gonna be fine because this tote is gonna hold this tarp up above them and they'll have a good bit of insulation from the air. Just gonna weigh it down with a board or two. Looks like everything survived the frost pretty well. Hopefully that was our official last frost of the season. Sometimes if a plant has frost damage, you can't always tell right away. Their leaves will usually be darker, and sometimes it's a couple hours before they start to kind of show the signs. Some of these were just small to begin with, but I'm pretty sure that all of these are okay. Everything in the greenhouse looks great as expected. I don't normally worry about the plants in the greenhouse when we get a frost outside. It's when we see hard freezes that I start to worry a little bit. It all kind of just depends on the conditions of the day, but we don't have to worry about that until fall time now. I did make sure that I pulled up any of the seedlings that I had that were frost tender and sitting on the ground. There are some spaces underneath the baseboard in the greenhouse where frost has kind of seeped in here in the past, and I wanted to elevate those plants because heat rises, frost does not. The greenhouse conversion is coming together really nicely. And we actually got a lot more done yesterday than I expected to get done. And honestly, the whole project is moving a lot faster than I dreamed that it could. And a lot of that is thanks to you guys. So I wanted to extend a thank you to everyone for watching our videos, for using our affiliate links. Every little bit helps our homestead. It counts into real dollars that are doing real things on our farm. And it's truly a dream come true. So I would like to get these beds filled. I do need to adjust some of them, so if you see some of them a little bit crooked, don't worry. But I need to get these beds filled, and hopefully in the next video we can get to planting them. That is super exciting. So I've got a lot of work to do, so I'm gonna get to it.